Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Wellness Blueprints. I'm Jess Milner. I'm so glad you're here to nourish your roots with me. I'm a master nutritionist, functional blood work specialist, and quantum energy healer. And today, I don't have any notes. This is all coming right from the heart today. Sometimes I have some notes down to keep me on task. So if I wander, but today, I wanted to talk a little bit about, perfection and like this whole like messiness and like how perfectly imperfect. And I've talked about this before, but I want to explain why this is on my mind. So, if you tuned in last week and you heard my podcast about vitamin D and the sunlight, and because it's this time of year, the sun's far away, depending on where you are in the world, and so we just can't synthesize the vitamin D. And I went through all these different ways that we can, supplement and eat food and do all this different stuff. And you know what I forgot to mention? Cod liver oil. Like, what? I didn't say cod liver oil. And, so of course I kept myself up like that night thinking about it, like, oh crap, I didn't say that. And what's funny about that is that my son, like, that's what he takes. He loves it. He's got his cod liver oil pills. They're these giant pills, right? And he calls them his chewies. They're like lemon flavored in there. I don't know. I've never bitten into one, but he seems to like them. So he takes those, So, I'm just like, all right, whatever. It was full of great information. I'll just toss it in there. We can't expect perfection because no matter what you do, no matter what you like set out and how prepared you think you are, there's always going to be stuff thrown at you. There's always going to be something like, oh my gosh, did I forget? Blah, blah, blah. So I've had to kind of like just step back over the years and let go of this perfectionism thing. And especially if you are like me, undiagnosed ADHD, just been like raw dog and emotions out here whole life, right? So perfectionism, it tends to be a big issue, especially when we're younger, because we want everything to be as perfect as it can be because we're looking for people to tell us like, oh, this is good, or like we're looking for some kind of dopamine, some kind of a reaction, and we want to hyper focus and do something absolutely perfectly, and like it's not like we think that it's going to be perfect, but like you get this perfectionist kind of an attitude, like that's not good enough, right? And I mean, like, yeah, sometimes there's stuff that it's like that's not good enough, but other times it's like, well, I think that it actually is. And this can really, really screw you up because when you get to be an adult and everything, uh we tend to like not want to do things until we're like, well, it's not going to be all perfect and everything. I mean, you see it in like all different areas of life, and there's so many different reasons why people, so some people are like, well, no, it's not the right time to have a baby, it's not the right time to buy a house, it's not the right time to move, it's not the right time to switch jobs, it's not the right time to start a diet or to start an exercise program, or to like it's not the right time for this and that and everything. And I mean, sometimes that's true. Like of course, there are going to be times when you go, well, Jess, this was the reason why for this. And sometimes there actually is a reason, but we can't expect for like everything to be perfect before we like start doing something, because that time's never going to come, because perfection is not real. If we are humans, we're not perfect. So I had to laugh at myself, because I mean, do I expect any holiday to be perfect in my house? No. But I mean, I do kind of like to cook. It's you might see, I don't know if you've ever seen any of my videos, but I like to cook, right? So next week is Thanksgiving, and I mean, I love Thanksgiving. Like I usually like to make some cinnamon rolls in the morning. We'll do like a Christmas charcuterie or something like that, or Christmas. We do that later, but that's next month. Okay, we do a Thanksgiving charcuterie. We make it, it's a turkey, we shape it like a turkey and everything, maybe call it like a turkey crudité. But whatever you want, like we like to do fun stuff like that. When my sister's here, it's really awesome. My daughter's getting really good at making them too. So, like we'll have like cinnamon rolls, maybe some sausage or something, and like some kind of thing like that. And up until about an hour ago, I was just kind of thinking, I'm like, do I want to make a whole vegetable, or do I want to just like serve like the veggie and crudité thing? And like, then maybe we don't need it, because we've got the 6 of us and we've got my mother-in-law coming. There's just 7 of us, but I just had a complete wrench thrown into plans. So there's only been one other time in my life when my oven has misbehaved. It was years ago. It was in New Jersey, and it was over the holidays. It was, Thanksgiving time. And, I remember we were like, I was like, oh my gosh, like I need this to work. Now, at that point, the entire oven wasn't working. There was something with the motherboard. So, like, the oven would not turn on. But I had a gas range, so I could still cook stuff on the stove top. And I was like, so I was like joking with my husband. I'm joking, if he listens to this, he'd be like, you weren't joking. But I was like, well, like this seems to happen like only this time of year, And I mean, some people be like, oh, you use your oven more. And maybe I use it a tiny bit more this time of year, like, baking a little bit more. But I mean, I use my oven often, like multiple times a week anyway. My kids use it every day for like, little like reheating stuff. I mean, like we don't have a microwave, so we use our oven a lot. I was kind of like, oh my gosh, this has happened before. But anyway, my oven is not heating properly. And it's been doing this. Like I made a quiche last week and like the bottom didn't cook right. And I was like, what is going on? When we would be like, okay, it doesn't feel warm in here. Let me turn it off and turn it back on. I have a whole electric range now, which I freaking hate. But if you like it, that's fine. You can like whatever you like. I can't stand it. But anyway, I know how to cook on it now. But, so I would turn it off and turn it back on to the same temperature and it'd be down like 150 degrees. And I'm like, oh, this thing's not heating properly. So, I've got all this stuff under warranty, right? So I give a call and dude comes out and he figures out like, oh, it's this part, like the one heating element in there is not working. So like basically like my broiler works and then like it might work better if I put convection on because there's like another heating element in there. But like the stuff from underneath, like that's why my quiche didn't cook because there was no heat coming from underneath and then the top was like burnt, right? So yeah, I mean, this is a super yummy dinner, let me tell you. But so the part was supposed to be in and he was going to come on Friday and switch it all out, right? Fine, no problem. I'm like, okay, cool. So they call and they're like, yeah, so the part's not going to be in until like next Tuesday. And and of course, like they don't have appointments until the following week. So I'm like, oh my gosh. So I was like having like mini panic attack on the phone as I started to like realize this. So the gal, I mean, she was very nice. She got me scheduled for that day the following week. And I'm like, okay. So I'm like, all right, how am I going to roast a turkey in this oven? My mother-in-law's coming, I'm like, okay. So I don't expect perfection. We're going to change up the menu a little bit. We're going to figure some things out. I'm going to get a turkey roaster. I'm going to borrow one from somebody or I'm going to buy one. Like, I don't know, but one way or another, we're going to roast this turkey. And one way or another, there's going to be some stuffing. I can probably manage stuffing, but I'm like, all right, well, I was going to bake a pumpkin pie, but the silver lining now I don't have to bake a pumpkin pie. I'm going to purchase one. And my daughters, they're turning 13 on Monday, and I'm like, great, now I can't make their cake. So, yeah. So, I mean, you just got to kind of roll with stuff, right? I mean, does my mother-in-law expect things to be perfect when she comes here? No. And I mean, and she's a wonderfully kind woman. Like, she would never like scold me for something, like she wouldn't do that. So I'm like, okay, so I have to just kind of sit here and laugh about it. Like, all right, whatever. So it's next Thursday, it's Thanksgiving, and there's going to be food. And that's what I can guarantee. There's going to be food. I'm not sure how it's going to happen. But you know what? I mean, I worked with a mentor who she had this saying called, messy makes me millions. She was like a money like mentor person. And so, she's like, she was talking about from like a work aspect, like do it messy, don't look for perfection, do it messy anyway. And she would say, messy makes me millions, because, she's, I put everything out there messy. I'm not waiting until it's perfect to put it out, like we do that, like with work, with whatever, I'm like, no, it's not perfect. It's not ready yet. I don't have everything in place. Like nobody cares. Just throw it out there. Nobody cares. Throw it out there and see what happens. So she would say stuff like that. So I was kind of thinking of that. And I'm like, obviously I'm not going to make millions of dollars from cooking Thanksgiving dinner for my family, but the messiness will bring perfect imperfection, right? I mean, it's going to bring joy. It's going to bring memories. We are going to do everything we can to get everything prepared. We're going to sit down around the table and we're going to eat. It's going to be fine. So, because I really, I took a couple minutes there, and this is where, this emotion code work, all this energy work, all of the energy center balancing that I do for my clients. And of course, if I wasn't working on myself, I would be a really, really crappy practitioner. So I am. But I sat there and I was like, well, you know, I could have like a major like meltdown over this. I could be really upset about this. I could be like freaking out, like, oh my gosh, I have to go get this thing right now. But, I called my husband. I told him what was going on. And he's like, all right, well, we'll get what we got to get. We'll do what we got to do. And, it's fine. And you know what? I, within just a few minutes, was able to just kind of like, deep breath. And I'm like, all right, this, this kind of blows. But I mean, at least it works a little bit. It's not completely broken. It's not like it's gonna be okay. What am I gonna do? Like, am I gonna like flip out and like have like a whole hissy fit? I mean, at some point in my life, I may have. But here we are. So it's gonna be totally fine. And I mean, you got that word because I'm like, you don't want to go for perfection, but sometimes you look back on your day and obviously it wasn't perfect in a sense where like everything went perfectly. But when you look back, your memory is still perfect. So even, like years later, when you did something like with this, okay, like we just kind of we're going to throw everything together as best we can, do whatever we got to do. And anything that happens, we're going to giggle and laugh about. And it's going to be stories to tell. It's just that's what, this is how memories are made. And I mean, if you really think about it, how many of your memories are, like they're just these fun, great memories, but it's really from something that was like so screwed up at the time or so like, and you think back like, well, we pulled through and we remembered this and look at all this laughter we got out of it. So, there's always something with it. Nothing's wasted. But yeah, here we go. So, I mean, I'm grateful for a lot of stuff and I'll probably, probably do something on grateful next week. I know it's very done, with November. November is a month for gratitude. But you know what? Honestly, shouldn't we be grateful all the time? I mean, yeah, for sure. But I'll probably do a little something on gratitude next week because it'll be super fitting. Something to listen to and get a couple laughs out of, hopefully. So I try to be entertaining while you're prepping for Thanksgiving, if you are cooking. I mean, honestly, I adore hosting the holidays and stuff. I don't mind. I also don't mind, going somewhere else. That's great too. I really don't mind, but it's always been something that I really like to do. And there definitely was a time in my life when having something like that taken from me because like I have to kind of regroup and like I'm not going to be able to make the pie myself, I'm not going to be able to do this myself, like I'm going to have, and I would really really get upset and feel like it was like some kind of personal thing, like, oh, everybody hates me or whatever. But you know what, it's the oven. It's the oven. It's the time of year. It's just how it is. It's Murphy and his law. Whatever. It is how it is. And you know what? I bet you the memory of this Thanksgiving is going to be pretty damn perfect, even though it's going to be an imperfect day. So I hope that you are. I don't know. I hope that this is resonating with you. I really do. And I want you, if this is something that you're just kind of like, man, I would be so like freaked out, because I mean, it's an expense, I mean, if I have to go and buy a turkey roaster, obviously they're at like all the stores. I saw them at Costco and this and that. I knew my oven was not working so well because when I saw them at the store last week, I was like, let me just check the price on that so I can be prepared. So now I've got it in my head. I know about how much they are, but having to purchase a pie, I'm going to have to buy my daughter's birthday cakes. I'm going to have to, so I'm not going to be able to necessarily make sure all the ingredients are exactly what I want them to be for their cakes. Although, I mean, I could probably find a baker around here who'd be able to do it, but yeah, it's going to be a bigger expense and everything. So sometimes, for some people, like that can be a really big deal because if you're like, well, I just don't have the funds to run out and grab this, that, and the other thing, it could be a really big deal. But there's always ways to regroup. There's always other people around that can help you. There's always stuff like, there's always a solution to things. And so, let go of the perfectionism. Once again, just let it go. Leave it over there. Just leave it over there and just go with it. Just go with that flow. And, just know The universe has you. Like you're here. Like you're here. Everything you need, you've got, and it's going to be okay. You are standing where you're standing, or sitting where you're sitting, and you're breathing where you're breathing, and you can see and smell and feel and hear things all around you. So that's what's important. And that's what's perfect, is that we're right there. I don't even know if that made sense. Did that make sense? Maybe it did. That's what's perfect. I think that's pretty perfect. That everything we need is right here in all of our energy centers and everything. It's pretty cool. And food. Yeah. But that's what we've been talking about. This oven. Man, this oven. I don't know. Why does it always happen during this time of year? And that's so funny. Yeah. Everything should be working great by Christmas time. So, well, there you go. So I'm just going to go and figure out what I got to do for this wonderful holiday. And I hope that you're getting ready to do that too. And hey, I don't know when you're listening to this. This is coming out on Wednesday, which tomorrow, which is the 19th. So if you're listening to this on Thursday or Friday, the 20th or the 21st, and you're hosting and you have a frozen turkey at home, go get it out of the freezer. Because it's gotta thaw out, and then you gotta brine it. So you want to brine it by Monday or Tuesday, right? So I would say by Tuesday at least, right? You want to brine that bad boy. So get that out of the freezer by like Thursday, Friday, especially if you're defrosting it in the fridge, because it's such a big bird. You want to defrost it in the fridge. I will defrost things on the counter, but not a bird of that size. Like do like ground beef or something like that. But so yeah, if you're listening on Thursday or Friday, get that bird out of the freezer so that you can get it brined and everything is ready to go. Oh my gosh, that's pretty much it. I had a dream like 2 months ago that it was Thanksgiving morning and the turkey was still frozen. And I woke up thinking like that, wow, I don't think that would ever happen. I think I would remember before that. I may not have time to brine it, but I would get it out of the freezer before it's time to cook it. So anyway, there's your reminder, and have a wonderful, wonderful Thanksgiving. And yeah, okay, if you would like my quantum path to wellness, go to go.deeprootedwellness.id.com/quantum-path and pick that up for yourself. And I hope you're enjoying this, everybody. Everybody have yourself a wonderful, wonderful day. And go ahead, take that deep breath, collect yourself. It's all going to be okay. It's all going to be okay. It will be somehow. Even if you forget the cod liver oil, you forget to mention the important thing, you forget, it doesn't matter. It's fine. Like life goes on. Life goes on. All right. Love you guys.